Hello, I am Krista McCord. I am a level 5 hairstylist here in Opelika, Alabama at Envy Salon. I love doing hair. Hair is my passion. I have known that I wanted to do hair since I was about 12. I have been educating at our salon for the past year. I've had an associate, her name is Brooke. She was with me for about 10 months and just recently went on the floor as a full-time hairstylist, and she's doing awesome. I am very passionate about hair. It's always been something that I have wanted to do and pursue. I enjoy that I get to meet lots of people and form relationships with them and learn about them, and I get to do all of that while I get to do the thing that I love, which is to create beautiful hair and have fun and try new techniques and continue to grow. I have taken several Redken classes. I love Redken because it has structure and rules to follow, which makes it easier to make sure that you're doing everything that you're supposed to do that the hair needs. I feel like with being a hairstylist of 6 years, I have worked and grown as much as I can behind the chair here, and I am ready for new opportunities to grow. I'm very thankful for the opportunity to be a Redken artist. I feel like it came around at the perfect time, and I'm ready to go to the next level and see what else I can do. I enjoy teaching not only associates here, but also clients about how to take care of their hair, maintain it at home. My associate of how to grow and take steps and explain rules, but also that there's the creative side of it as well, and that balance in between, along with proper communication with the client of not only the things that they say that they want hair-wise, but also the things that they don't say. So yeah, I'm very, very excited for this opportunity. So my client today, she's coming up for her 3-month touch-up appointment. We will be doing foliage today. Foliage is something that I do behind the chair often, as well as using Redken products. This is a service that I really love and do behind the chair pretty much all the time. It would be the thing that I would say is kind of like my niche, although I do love many creative custom blonding, and I feel like hair is kind of like what's their inspo picture and where are they now, and I'm kind of trying to put the pieces in that they're missing. So I'm very excited for this opportunity, and without further ado, here we go. So this is my client Adelaide. She hasn't been to me for probably about 3 months, so this is kind of like a routine maintenance appointment. How are you feeling about where you're at right now?
Good. I really liked the color that we did last time. The cooler lasted a lot longer than the honey blonde that we did.
Good.
So I pretty much want just the same thing that we did last time.
Good. Okay, so we're gonna freshen up your roots, still leaving her dimensional and lived in, but bringing that back up so you're not so rooty. Are you still liking the brightness around your face?
Yes.
Great.
Just because it's so grown out, the only thing I really want is the underneath kind of touched up.
So when you like pull it up, you definitely want to see all that brightness here. Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
And for money piece, are we liking it kind of?
Oh, I love it. I want it as blonde as you can get it. Yeah.
Perfect, but not too thick.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I like what we did last time. I think it was like mainly this. But.
Perfect. And then definitely blonder down here, freshening up your blonde down here to be brighter as well.
Yeah.
Okay. And same tone, all of that was good.
Yes.
Perfect.
Just moved up more, I guess. But
Perfect.
yes.
Have you been using purple at home?
Yes, I have been.
Good.
I switched shampoo from the white bottle, remind me, sorry.
The acidic bonding. Perfect.
To the all soft. I started using
Okay.
that one. I think I like the acidic bonding more. I still have a little bit left, so I've just been rotating it out.
Okay, great. Rotating is definitely good. The all soft's gonna give you more moisture.
Yeah, it's fast for my ends.
Yes. The acidic bonding is gonna be better though in general, especially with refreshing your color. That the glaze is the most important part for the tone. The acidic bonding is sulfate free and the all soft is not.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Yes, so that's very important so that your glaze lasts, because it's supposed to last 20 shampoos. So we're trying to get longevity through that. And then how often are you using your purple shampoo in between?
Like once a week, probably.
Okay, sweet. Yeah, I feel like that's good. As long as you're not using every time.
Yeah.
Perfect. And then when you are using it, making sure that you're letting it sit like 5 minutes or so.
Yeah. I
Perfect.
just put it up, click, and let it sit.
Awesome. Since you're feeling dry, we can definitely do a treatment on you today.
Yeah, my ends.
Perfect. Acidic bonding actually just came out with a 5-minute mask. That would also be a recommendation for you at home that goes along with your acidic bonding shampoo and conditioner. And then also, I'm not sure if we've talked about it before, but it has a leave-in as well that also has heat protectant. So that system of all of those things should help you get some of that extra hydration in there.
Okay. Yeah.
All right, good. Do you have any questions?
No.
All right, let's get started.
So here you can see she has some new growth at the roots. We have been doing more dimensional in the past, and now since it's summer, she's decided she wants to be more blonde. So we're trying to get rid of more root than we usually have, but still keeping some dimension.
Going to start with our pre-treatment. I'm going to use Redken cleansing cream to start. This is going to help remove any residual product from her hair or buildup from water over the past few months in between appointments. If there is buildup on the hair, it's not going to lift as well. And we definitely want to make sure that her hair is very clean so that we can get some good lift.
Now I'm using quick blowout so that we can blast her dry and get started. I divided the hair into 10 subsections. This helps save me time while I'm working, and it also helps with consistency of how many foils I need to put in each section throughout the head. Today I'll be using Redken Flash Lift with Bonder. I love it because it protects the hair while it's lightening, and it can also achieve up to 9 levels of lift. My preferred ratio is 1 to 2. I'll be starting with 10 volume and increasing the developer with each bowl. I like to make a couple bowls at a time to have on standby, but not mixing until needed. You don't want to mix it until you're actually using it, because if you do, it's oxidizing and you've lost some of the strength of your lightener. Starting in the right back quadrant of the nape area, taking a diagonal back parting. I'll be using a board to use as support as I paint my lightener on. This helps with consistency, and the more thorough your application is, the better your lift is going to be, and the board provides a nice flat even surface for me to do that. I'm using a wide brush to help me cover as much ground as I need while also being able to control what I'm using. I start my application horizontally with the brush coming down towards me, and then as I'm trying to blend, I rotate the brush vertically and use the tip of it to help me feather that up. You'll notice that I put another foil on top of what I just painted and folded the edges to incubate it in. This is to make sure, again, that I'm getting as much lift as possible of not folding the hair over on top of itself. Also, while I'm painting, I'm making sure that I'm fully saturating that strand. I start working with back-to-back swishing motions. This is to make sure that there's no hair folded or clumped up on top of itself, because if it is, you're going to have inconsistency in your lift. Now, as we have moved on to the left quadrant of the nape area, I'm going to mirror the amount of foils that I did on the other side, still using diagonal backs and still using the same techniques of feathering up to make sure that everything's soft. I did 3 foils in each section. Here I'm doing what I like to call a soft slice. It's a slice because I'm taking a solid line of hair, but it's soft because I'm weaving that, but it's not a weave because there's no gaps. This is probably my favorite foil placement to take because it gives me coverage without being too harsh. I'm now horizontal and took a weave on this hairline piece, making sure that when she lifts her hair up that there's no gaps between where the other foils on the sides meet. Also with the board, I'm making sure to maintain elevation. Elevation is going to help while I'm painting to create natural softness in order to not need a shadow root or something to blend. I'll continue horizontally in the nape using 1-inch gaps between my foils to spread out the coverage in this area. Moving on now to our middle back center section. I took a slice here and I did some soft teasing. With the teasing, I started in about mid-strand, pushing up hairs from the bottom, only doing 1 to 2 pushes. You don't want to tease too much hair up because if you do, you start making a rat's nest. So I push up until I meet resistance, and then I replace my comb in that teased part now and then push it up. I think one of the most important things about doing hair is you may be doing a certain placement or look, but looking and analyzing what you need at each section that you're working on is important so that you can leave out a super blonde piece, or you can add some extra saturation on a darker piece, or if the hair is pulling too far, then you pull that piece out. Just paying attention to what you need and where you need it, regardless of what service you're performing. Still continuing to work through this center section. Here I'm moving a blonde piece out of the way so that I can protect it and only paint on the darker parts. When I have a longer piece like this that needs to be painted fully through, I make sure that the first layer is fully saturated completely before I lift the longer end on top of it and then add more lightener. This middle section I wound up with 5 foils. Going to remix, I made 2 bowls, one of half 10, half 20 developer, and then one of with just 20. Anytime I have a piece like this that's on the hairline, I make sure to weave it. A weave is going to make sure that there's some of her natural mixed in with the blonde so that when she wears her hair up, it's not a solid sheet of blonde with a line up next to her new growth. Now working in our sitter back right section. This is a smaller foil, so I am going to just fold once, lifting up to make sure that that foil is all the way to her hairline, and then use my comb to fold the sides in. This is going to make sure that there's no creasing or crimping of the lightener in that fold of that foil that will cause inconsistency in lift. I'm still doing diagonal backs, but it's not as sharp a diagonal back as I was using in the nape. As you continue up this section with the curvature of the head, it naturally levels out to be more horizontal. Still using those soft slices for coverage. Now working in our left center back section, here I'm doing a true weave. When I start with my lightener, I like to start kind of in the middle of where I need it. You don't want to start too close to the top, because if you do, you don't leave yourself enough room to blend, and you can also cause bleeding. I made sure to keep my original lightener application at the top of that blonde piece so I can move it away and continue to work on the darker bits. Our number one job as the hairstylist is to protect the integrity of the hair, so it's super important to just take the 2 seconds to move those pieces out of the way. Or also, if you have one of those clients that are never blonde enough to, say and have that conversation, I can only get you so blonde, the hair can only take so much, and that's my job, to protect the hair. Also, on most of these foils, her ends were pretty blonde from previous lightning, so I'm leaving most of the tails of her ends out. On a piece like this that has a good bit of blonde in it already, I feel like I'm mostly touching up the new growth. It's easier to use a short board than the long board for control. Again, moving that blonde out of the way, making sure to fully saturate the darker parts. A long board here is just a little too chunky and hard to control. And I'm placing another foil on top to make sure that we are not wadding that hair up. Mirroring our left and right sections for balance, both of the sections ended with 5 foils. Okay, time for a tip out. I absolutely love a tip out. It is a great time saver and also a good way to just brighten back up pre-existing blonde. I'm getting the hair from between the foils that was untouched and grouping it to the side together to where I can work with it. There was a good bit of hair left in between, so I separated it into 3 smaller sections. I'm doing a tease on each, again starting from like mid to bottom of the strand, pushing up. Depending on your desired outcome and where the blonde already is, you could also balayage this. Really just depends on the result that you want. The key to a good tip out is to elevate and over direct. Elevation and over direction is going to help give me a super soft blend. Using that combined with the teasing and taking smaller sections should give me a really good, nice blonde end result. Also, depending on the service that I'm doing, estimating how much time I'm going to need. I know that this is a full and a bigger service than we normally do, so the back is probably going to be ready before the front. So that's why I'm going ahead and doing my tip out before I start on the front, so that this can all be washed out together and to make it really easy on myself. These pieces are around a level 8, and I know the back foils have already been sitting for a little bit, so I'm using 10 volume. Another super helpful tip is to load up your foil on your board before you even place it down. This helps to ensure that the hair is fully saturated through, especially on thicker pieces. If not, underneath, if you lift it up, you might see darkness or that it's not fully saturated. Also, another tip for saturation is to make sure that you are really pressing that lightener into the hair. That's also why I'm swiping side to side, is to make sure that everything is spread out and not layered on top of each other, and to make sure that it's really, really getting in there. Tip-op foils in total, I had 6. So now we have made our way to the front, working on the front left side. Here I'm doing the second hairline foil. This is just below the temple. I like to weave this so that it's really soft, so that when she pulls her hair back, it's really soft and seamless, but you also see all that brightness. I'm also bringing the lightener up higher, closer to the root in the front versus the back, so that she definitely feels very blonde around the face, and also leave her more grow out room. Working my way up through that side section, doing the diagonal backs with a soft slice. My sections are starting to become horizontal again as I work my way up the head. Around the front, it does have more blonde in the back from previous sessions, so we're mostly just touching up the new growth. This section had 5 foils total, 2 on the hairline and 3 working my way up. Now on the right side, this is my first hairline foil. I've tried several different techniques and placements, and this is definitely my favorite. This is a horizontal foil with a weave. This makes sure that her hairline is covered whether she wears her hair up or down without being too solid. When I place the foil on the comb, I like to flip it back so that I can leave a lip to then lift it up so that I can make sure that that foil is all the way to the root to prevent any bleeding or slippage, and to make sure it's nice and secure. Working through the top section now. I swapped to a smaller, skinnier brush rather than a wide brush to be able to control my lightener working on a smaller area. Still making sure I'm working my lightener in and pressing it into the hair back and forth to make sure it's fully in, and then rotating my brush vertically and using the point to blend up. Continuing throughout this top section, I'm doing 3 foils on the left side, and then I'll swap and do 3 foils on the right side for a total of 6 foils, which works really well off of her middle part. Also, as I get closer to the top of the head and their part, I usually do the foils a little bit closer together and finish with a microweave on top. Now for the almighty money piece. There are 9,000 different ways to do a money piece. For today on her, I want it to have a little bit more natural feel, a little less stripey. I'm working off of her natural middle part. I'm doing 2 back-to-back foils on the right and then 2 back-to-back foils on the left. The purpose of this, rather than going straight down the middle since she has a middle part, is that I want the highlights to sit almost underneath rather than on top and just have a strip. That way her natural is going to kind of lay over it. But when she pushes her hair back, it's still going to look really bright and she's still going to feel bright around the face. This is also going to have a much softer grow out for her as well, and she won't feel like she has to immediately have it touched up again. The first hairline foil is a weave, and then my second one is a slice. Ways to play around with it: if I want it to be bolder, then I'll do 2 or 3 back-to-back slices, versus if I want it to be really, really soft, I'll only do weaves. Once I started using a board, it changed how I foil. I think it's really hard, especially around the face, to get that foil really, really close and keep it from slipping, especially if you've got that foil pressed down on your client's face. It's also probably a little inconvenient for the client as well. I feel like using the board eliminates that, helps me to stabilize it, and also gives me a nice flat surface to paint on to make sure that I'm being consistent. Here I'm putting one foil in between where those two connect. This is just a baby light weave to make sure that there's not a gap in between. Time for another mix, making sure I'm keeping that lightener fresh and continuing to bump my developer so that everything can process at the same time. I don't usually leave the crown for last, but today I did. I thought that was best in this case since I already did the tip out, and then also since it's on the very top of the head, it'll be out of the way for me to go ahead and rinse the rest. I had 6 total foils in the crown, 2 diagonal backs on the right, 2 diagonal backs on the left, and then 2 in that top triangle. Yay for the last foil. Now to process, I'm going to check her underneath foils first. They are looking really, really good. And then I'm also going to check her tip out. Usually when I time this, the timing is just right that the back is ready to go by the time I finish the front. Pulling out all these foils is so satisfying. Time to rinse and shampoo. For shampoo, I'm going to be using the acidic bonding. To get this teasing out, I'm going to be using the One United spray along with a wet brush. I've tried a lot of different things and nothing has worked as well as this combo. I'm picking up the same sections that I teased, spraying directly on top of the tease, turning the wet brush vertically and working it through. Yay, no breakage. Now that we're finished detangling, we're going to go ahead and check again. Those sides are ready, so we're going to go ahead and pull them out. Being efficient with our time, we're going to do a treatment while that top finishes processing. We're using the cat treatment. This is going to repair and strengthen that hair that we just lightened. Now that the top is finished, we're going to rinse and shampoo again. I towel dried and I'm now using another round of cat, letting it sit while I mix up the glaze. For our root smudge today, I'm going to be using 6N and 7NB. The goal of a smudge root is to blend where the highlights begin. I'm creating a transition tone in between her level 5 natural and her now lightened level 9 blonde. I chose 6N for its background of brown to tan with a blue violet tone. And I chose 7NB, which is also brown to tan, but it has a little bit of warmth in it, red violet, so that the two together would give me a very natural feel that's not overly cool. We'll be combining it with Shades EQ Processing Solution Gloss to Gel. The beautiful thing about Gloss to Gel is the thicker consistency for control. For our ends, we're going to be using 10VV, 10AG, and 10GI. VV is double violet, no background. GI is gold violet, brown to tan. AG is blue gold, brown to tan. Color theory tells us that violet cancels yellow. Adding gold into cool formulas is how you keep that extra brightness. I did equal parts, 0.7 of each. I feel like this gives the perfect end result of cool but bright blonde. I'm mixing with the OG Shades EQ Processing Solution, and the ratio is 1:1. Shades EQ instructions are 20 minutes on dry hair, so we're going to use quick blowout and blaster dry. Parting off the front from the back and then also getting the crown out of the way. When I'm doing a smudge root, I usually like to start in the back of the head. I'm going to outline my quadrant from the occipital to the nape. I'm parting diagonals throughout the section, doing about 1/2 inch. And then I'm going to comb through to spread everything out. Coming back through the opposite way to cross check, making sure I didn't miss anything. Combing through to make everything blend. Now for the crown, same thing. Coming through with diagonals. Cross checking and combing everything through. Now for the front, again, we're going to outline our section. But here I'm going to do verticals. This helps keep everything clean. Make sure it's not spreading too much or that color's going too far. I'm going to save the hairline to last. Again, combing everything through. Same thing, opposite side. Everything vertical, pulling it back, combing it back. While the smudge root is starting to process, we're going to go ahead and put our glaze on the ends for it to process at the same time. Using the bottle and my fingers, I'm working that through, spreading it out throughout the hair. Taking 1-inch partings. Working everything together. Doing diagonal backs here. Using my fingers towards the roots to really get in there, mesh those together. Doing horizontals around the front, again using my fingers to blur the roots transition into the blonde. Now for the front hairline, I put a foil down so that no root color gets on this blonde part. I'm putting the glaze on the blonde before the root smudge because this helps fill the blonde with that cool tone so that then when we put the darker root color on, it already kind of has a base to make sure that it doesn't spread too much or get splotchy as I work it through. Now that that has processed the full 20 minutes, we're going to shampoo her. Once again, we're going to be using our acidic bonding shampoo and conditioner. Now I'm going to use the acidic bonding intensive treatment. This treatment is part of the acidic bonding system. Post lightening, it's going to help give her extra strength and moisture. Once the 5 minutes is up, I'm going to rinse and condition and then rinse again using cooler water to help close the cuticle. For styling, I'm going to be using Quick Blowout. It has heat protectant and it also speeds up blow dry time. And Big Blowout, which also has heat protectant, is also going to give us volume, smoothing, and frizz protection. And the acidic bonding leave-in to complete our system, which helps to smooth and protect those ends, reduce visible split ends. Now for hold with our curls, we're going to be using Iron Shape 11. It has heat protection up to 450 degrees. You can spray it on wet or dry hair. It's going to help give us flexible hold and longevity for her curls. And the best thing about this product is you don't have to add any more product for retouching. You just reapply heat and it reactivates the product. We're going for beach waves here. I'm using a 1 1/4 long barrel curling iron. I'm alternating the direction of the curl so it doesn't look too perfect and shows her dimension. I'm mostly curling the middle of the strand, and at the ends I'm pulling that through, kind of straightening them. To finish, we're going to use Shine Flash. This is going to make her hair look really shiny and finish nicely.
Okay, so how are you feeling?
It's perfect.
Good.
Absolutely perfect.
Wonderful.
Just what I wanted.
Perfect. Okay, so for going home maintenance, you're going to continue to use your acidic bonding shampoo and conditioner,
Okay.
as well as the leave-in. Every time you shampoo, you can use just like a dime size, rub it between your hands, and then pull it through your ends.
Okay.
And then when you do your purple shampoo, once a week or every other time that you wash your hair, you can use the acidic bonding 5-minute mask, and that's what's really going to help continue to hydrate you and keep your hair feeling great. Okay, do you have any questions?
No, that's it.
Awesome. All right, thank you.
And here is the finished look. I'm so happy with how it turned out. She's bright, but she's not too solid. She's still got some good dimension in there. This is also going to hold up really well while her hair is growing out. It's going to be super soft around the roots, but she's still got that brightness. She's not going to have any harsh lines. It's going to be really easy to touch up next time since we did a fuller session this time. She's got that brightness whether she wears her hair up or down. In between highlighting sessions, she usually comes in every 8 weeks and comes in for a glaze and haircut for a maintenance appointment in order to keep it looking fresh in between sessions. This video and this process has been so much fun to do. I love my career and I love Redken, and I'm thankful for it every day.